Okay, let's try and speed through this intro. There's 25 newish shows I'm trying out this season, and I'm only going to watch a show for as long as it can hold my attention, which is why I'll be talking about some of these for several paragraphs, while others will get maybe a sentence or two at most. More details in the description. You got that? Good, because there's a lot of shows to cover and I don't want to waste your time, so let's get right into the meat of things, which this season itself happens to do as well by starting off with my most anticipated anime of the year, Boogiepop Doesn't Laugh, the first true adaptation of one of the most influential light novels of all time. Much as I'd love to say this is the breakout hit of the season, Boogiepop was never going to be that. I knew this one was going to start off as a slow burn, and it certainly does, but that doesn't make it any less intriguing. Split personalities, disappearances, gruesome murders, supernatural powers, and more are touched on just enough to grab our attention, but not enough to over-explain themselves just yet. I've heard this adaptation is rushing through a lot of things though, so hopefully it still manages to convey what makes this series interesting in the long run. As for its presentation, I was definitely hoping for a bit more than we got, but it's pretty alright so far. I do trust Shingo Natsume to create a standout product when given a strong idea to work with, so hopefully Boogiepop isn't too far outside his wheelhouse. When the atmospheric shots click, they really click, and Aoi Yuki absolutely nails her performance as the enigmatic Boogiepop. There's also a lot of stagnance pervading this first episode though that, had the story been any less interesting, would have turned dull rather fast. Overall, only mildly impressive, but still enough to hold me for now. In contrast, The Price of Smiles has a more lively presentation, though honestly not by much, but gives very little to chew on. Even when the character interactions were strong and the setting built itself naturally through the dialogue, I was constantly left wondering throughout the entire episode what the point was going to be. And the mediocre mech combat did little to relieve this worry. The final straw was when the show clearly establishes that the princess doesn't have a very strategic mind via the most cliché test of strategy ever, and then immediately follows that up with her being really good at strategy, so this one gets a hard pass from me. Hey, Gohans? Are you okay? Like, do you need someone to hit the reset button? You guys used to make some pretty interesting shows, not necessarily good ones, but interesting at least. But then you got obsessed with that K show and that too cool for school aesthetic that I just don't get at all. And then Handshakers happened, and now we have this. This one wasn't listed as a Handshaker sequel when I first watched it, but I probably should have known, because they say the word Handshaker like twice in the first 5 minutes and it looks just like it and it feels just as dumb and my eyes are bleeding. Whatever. Next. I regret the concept of anime as a whole. I was actually kinda curious about this one because white pupils are a god tier aesthetic, but so far this has proven to be massively unfunny, so let's try something else. Oh hey, Shield Hero, that one's been getting a lot of hype, I guess I can try that out now, and it's boring. Great. Now I know I'm going to get immediate backlash for saying that, so let me explain. I've basically run out of goodwill and interest towards isekai in general, especially if it's going to be played straight and serious. So the only way an isekai is going to impress me at this point is if it comes out swinging and tells me exactly why I should be watching, which is how pretty much all of the isekai I can tolerate work already. Yes, slow builds can be a virtue, but only in the hands of an ambitious staff, and the fact that this one has such a bland and unaffecting presentation gives me no hype whatsoever. Shield Hero looks flat and uninteresting just like 90% of the rest of its ilk, so I honestly have no interest in it. As lacking as the Boogiepop anime is so far in that department, even it manages to be more visually engaging than Shield Hero. The most interesting thriller can still be made boring by a bland presentation, but it certainly doesn't help that the writing is shit too. Not because of the idiotic reasons Anime News Network says it is, but rather because it's trite, mean-spirited, generic RPG fantasy garbage. I can't work with the promise of, this is totally different from what you've seen before, you just gotta watch a little bit longer, because nothing that I'm actually seeing in this show suggests that, and it's incredibly dull to look at. If even Grimgar managed to hold my attention through the entire series, but this show couldn't even do that for 10 minutes, then I'm not gonna dwell on it. Oh my god, it's Mom! Holy shit! Yeah, this one's still good. Speaking of adaptations from great manga artists, Tezupro is back with another revival of an old Osamu Tezuka manga, and hot damn, this one is looking good. Normally Tezupro's newer works tend to range from mostly okay to ow my eyes, but with Dororo being a joint venture with MAPPA, it's definitely shaping up to be their best work yet, and not just because it's visually strong. In my experience, Tezuka's works are often undersold in their importance because everyone looks at Astro Boy and thinks cute kids show that revolutionized TV anime, without acknowledging the massive pile of heavily adult-oriented manga that he also wrote. And Dororo certainly fits that bill. Even when it takes 8 whole minutes to set up the main character's backstory, it's still incredibly captivating and filled with tension and intrigue, so I'm definitely interested in seeing where this one goes. Ooh, a new Doga Kobo show. Always good to see one of my favorite studios doing so well and continuing their tradition of hyper-fluid and super bubbly animation. Anime Yell was pretty good last season, so I'm definitely excited for more cute girls stuff. Granted, they did Uzumade last season as well, and that was a bit uncomfortable, but hopefully they've moved past that to bigger and better— oh god damn it, not again! You know, I'd be almost fine with this if it was actually funny, but it's really not, so I'm just not gonna bother.
僕何回かやってるんですよ。で、成功したことがない。
Yeah, I can tell. Honestly, I have no idea what appeal this show is trying for. Is it supposed to be sexy? Funny? Relatable? Because it's doing none of those. Next! Alright, we're getting into the real meat of things now. The Promised Neverland, possibly the best non-traditional jump manga of the past half-decade, has finally gotten an anime adaptation. I'm 7 volumes into the manga right now, and the first episode is hitting mostly the right notes in terms of adapting what makes this story great. Biggest issues at this point are that some of the plot twists come off as a little too obvious, though this could also be my hindsight talking, and that some plot points like the test scene come completely out of nowhere. They've also significantly cut down on inner monologues so far, which could definitely end up biting them in the ass later, but we'll see what happens. Visually, again, the show is mostly successful and only loses its footing in the details. The backgrounds could definitely be less sterile, and the simplification of the character designs might not have worked quite as well as I'd hoped, but the atmosphere is what's most important, and they absolutely nailed it. Horror is probably the hardest genre to pull off with modern anime productions, so hopefully this episode is a forecast of how the rest of the anime will play out.
Kawase-sanにまた何かされる前に。
Meanwhile, My Roommate is a Cat is about as unambitious and bog standard as you could possibly get from an anime comedy. Very light on jokes that don't land anyway, an annoying main character with a stick up his ass, and flat, unengaging design choices that make this pretty hard to stay interested in, so I'll pass on this one for now. Cute pussy though. And also the cat's nice. This day isn't quite finished with its big premieres though, as we also got the first episode of Kemurikusa, the next CG project from Tatsuki, former director of Kemono Friends, a show that I thought was just okay and wasn't nearly as in love with as everyone else. However, after seeing Kemurikusa, I'm starting to get where Tatsuki's strengths truly lie without the burden of an existing source material. The air of mystery surrounding this series is even stronger than that of Kemono Friends, and the characters already have some depth to them exhibited in many subtle ways. The animation is still as shoddy as Kemono Friends, unfortunately, but the camera work and shot composition definitely make up for it. If you were a fan of Kemono Friends, I highly encourage you to pick up Kemurikusa to get a weekly dose of Tatsuki in your life. Alright, what's next? Oh hey, what's this? A full CG anime that actually has some vibrance to it and isn't drowning in gray tones? Sign me up, fam. Looks like full CG anime are on the upswing this season. Oh, wait, never mind, the main character's an insufferable prick. Like, I get the angle that they're going for with him becoming obsessed with protecting everyone, but it's so over the top that he comes off as a delusional psychopath. That's kinda dumb. Holy shit, they definitely didn't waste time with this one. Civilians getting wasted in the first minute is a hell of a jumpstart. Can't wait till we meet the main characters on the key visual and wait, who the fuck are you? Ah shit, did I seriously fall for the oldest anime marketing trick in the book again? And we're gonna have to deal with this hapless loser as a main character for the whole series? Marketing ploys aside, this is honestly one of the most generic looking action anime I've seen in a long time. And the fact that it looks like ass certainly doesn't help either. It's kinda giving me heavy object flashbacks, if that makes any sense. I'm half tempted to let this one slide since there's a significant drought of cute girls so far this season, but I'm not exactly a fan of waifus being shoved in my face either, so I think I'll search elsewhere. Alright, what's next? Wait, what the fuck is this? This isn't anime. The fuck's going on here? Oh, it is anime? Oh, it's a hybrid series. Okay. Yeah, this one's really bad, guys. The live action segments are boring, and Polygon Pictures seems to be continuing their tradition of bland, gray, drab awfulness when it comes to CG. Seriously, I think Rooster Teeth could probably do a better job at animating this. Props on taking time to sculpt this dude's junk, though. Next! Okay, no joke, I had absolutely zero expectations for this one, but it's surprisingly competent so far. Definitely not my genre, but it holds my attention pretty well, and it's probably the only show this season to make me consistently laugh. They even managed to avoid the accidental pervert scene, so big points for that. It ain't exactly the prettiest show to look at, and this easily ranks in my top 5 stupidest anime haircuts of all time, but you can't really expect much from Tezupro- Wait, what? You're gonna go for 2?
Okay.
Now see, this is exactly why I try out everything each season, because I never would have watched this show otherwise, and it's actually okay so far. Much like Girly Air Force, this one comes out swinging hard, but in the totally opposite direction. Sex is a rarity in anime in general, so having 2 of the main characters fuck in the first minute definitely caught my attention. It feels like it's going to be in the Scum's Wish realm of romance dramas, so take that for what you will. My only worry is that it'll turn out a bit shallow and end up being just relationship drama, and Dio Media doesn't exactly have the best track record, so hopefully they don't tank this one too. Alright, what's next? Oh, no. Wow, you're really just gonna play this straight, huh? You know, in hindsight, I'm not sure what I expected from something titled Magical Girl Spec-ops Asuka, but props to them on making the show look exactly like what the title says. Honestly, I wish I had something funnier to say about this, but nothing is funnier to me than the person who thought, yeah, let's make a super violent magical girl show, but we'll play it totally serious without a hint of irony. Next! Well, not sure how much of a controversial statement this is, but here we go. I like this more than the manga. There, I said it. The manga certainly does have its charms, but the anime is so much better at conveying the insanely complex and stupid logic that these two put themselves through in order to get the other to ask them out. The extremes of color that the anime uses are also a huge boost, yet it manages to maintain its composure and never fully break into outright comedy. This first episode did seem a bit one-sided though in terms of who won, so hopefully it ends up being a bit more balanced in the future. Ah, my next idol anime after finishing my first idol anime. And this one's also got a supernatural gimmick to it. Let's see how this goes. Okay, stop. Do you know what tea is? It's leaves in water. That's what it is. And you guys are mermaids, right? Which means you're surrounded by water. This is not how fucking tea works, you stupid cunt! Yeah, this one's kinda boring and it looks like ass, so next. Well, I guess they're doing the flash forward to the end fight thing. Not exactly unique, but not terrible either, so let's see how they... What? Guys? Hey guys, the episode's it's not over yet. There's still like 20 minutes left. Guys, seriously. Guys, wait. Stop. Stop! In all seriousness though, this one was okay. The dialogue itself is sort of bland and the character designs aren't all that good, but I like the cartoony atmosphere it's creating and it's overall pretty fun so far. Studio Gokumi is a group that I always really want to like and occasionally does make something good, and even when they don't, they at least make a valiant effort, so I'll stick around for now. I'm not gonna lie, the first few minutes of this one had me a bit worried and my expectations were all over the place going in, but Magnificent Kotobuki is actually good. Tsutomu Mizushima is a fascinating director for a lot of reasons, with some part of that being his mastery of genre satire and masking said satire under a more traditional narrative, as seen in shows like Another and Mayoiga. But aside from that, he's also just a damn good director in general, as seen in shows like Shirobako and Girls und Panzer. And Magnificent Kotobuki is definitely an example of the latter so far. Whether it's the tightly paced comedic banter or the thrilling sensation of high-flying plane battles, Mizushima delivers a surprisingly strong experience despite a noticeable lack of substance in the story. As for the CG, I have no idea what the fuck is going on. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to what is and is not CG, and maybe that's the point and Mizushima is just being subversive again and saying fuck you, it doesn't matter, but only time will tell. I'm not exactly sure how far I'll get without the story adding something a little meatier for me to latch onto, but for now I'm still enjoying myself. And there we have it. Those are my thoughts on all the new seasonal premieres. So far it's shaping up to be an okay-ish season. Here's the list of everything I recommend watching in order from best to worst. I'll probably drop about half of these at some point, but that's just how it goes. If there's a show I didn't talk about, I probably mentioned why in the description below, and... wait, what's this? Virtual-san looking. Well, I guess I could try it out. Special thanks to Jan Rogalski, Rourketon Joing, Christine Seibert, Tim Johnson, Call Me Catlord, Diane Wierzbicki, and all my other patrons for their generous support. My name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.